She didn't deserve this.
She didn't do it.
He took my baby. This is my baby daughter. I'm trying to process this, but it's hard.
I want to know why. Why? Why would you do this? You said you loved her. You proposed to her on New Year's Eve, and not today. You kill her.
In the early hours of January 4th, 2020, Houston police arrived at the 5500 block of Hollyview Drive, responding to what sounded like a domestic disturbance. But what investigators discovered next would change everything. When officers arrived at the scene, they found 33-year-old mother of three, Dominique Jefferson, lying in the parking lot. Upon closer inspection, she had been shot in the chest, and her killer was nowhere to be found. However, the most shocking revelation was yet to come. Just 3 days prior, Dominique was on a Facebook Live proposal that had captivated her friends and family. She had said yes to the man of her dreams, but instead, the man who had pledged to love and protect her had pulled the trigger. What started as a joyful engagement had ended as a calculated execution in front of witnesses, and he wasn't done yet. What they would soon uncover turned this into something far more chilling. This is the life and death of Dominique Jefferson.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
Dominique Jefferson was born in 1986 and raised in the vibrant heart of Houston, Texas. Known affectionately as Pretty by those closest to her, Dominique embodied the energy of her city, bold, brilliant, and full of ambition. She was the kind of woman who made things happen. With 3 young children, ages 11, 6, and 4, she wore motherhood like a crown, never allowing the weight of her responsibilities to dim the brightness of her dreams. But Dominique was more than just a mother. She was a businesswoman, a creative force, and a connector in Houston's thriving entertainment scene. At 33 years old, she was a manager for up-and-coming music artists, and she had a front-row seat to the grind and glory of the music industry. She knew how to spot talent, how to organize a show, and how to build buzz around a name.
Hey, thank you. We going out for my girl birthday. Yep. Also. Juicy with the motherfucking all the Geminis out there, show the fuck up. Yeah, pull up. Excuse.
She wasn't just in the mix, she was the mix. To empower others along the way, Dominique launched her own business focused on helping African American women break into the arts. Her passion wasn't just about profits, it was about legacy. She lived by the words, "hustle life," a personal motto she wore on her sleeve, in her social media bios, and even on the merchandise she helped design for her brand. Her drive was unmistakable, but so was her tenderness. Dominique was described by her loved ones as a woman of quiet confidence, a steady presence who could light up a room without needing to take it over.
Hey! Yo! Black baby DJ! Bitch, I can't wait! I know you gonna hit the ones too!
She parented with intention, making time for school pickups, bedtime stories, and weekend fun. Even while juggling the demands of her professional life, everything she did with her kids in mind. But someone would enter her world who would eventually shatter everything she had built. In November of 2019, Dominique met 42-year-old Kendrick Akins. Their introduction was casual, friends of friends, a few laughs at a social gathering, and a conversation that flowed easily. A couple of shared interests, and what seemed to be a promising beginning. Kendrick came off as respectful, attentive, calm, confident, and put together. He shared Dominique's love for music and business, and early on, he seemed to respect her grind. To those watching from the outside, it looked like a natural match. 2 driven people connecting in the right place at the right time. He asked the right questions, showed up when he said he would, and never came across as overbearing. Dominique's friends weren't alarmed. Her family, known for their tight-knit loyalty, didn't see any warning signs. In fact, they welcomed Kendrick with open arms. But sometimes, the most dangerous people don't arrive with sirens blaring. They arrive quietly, hidden in plain sight. New Year's Day, 2020, a moment that should have marked a bright new chapter in Dominique's life. Just a few months into their relationship, Kendrick made a grand gesture. Wearing a custom shirt that read, "Dominique, will you marry me?" He got down on one knee in front of Dominique's friends, her family, and even a live stream on Facebook for viewers to see.
He proposed in front of friends and family, and the proposal was even live streamed on Facebook.
He made a promise to her family and friends to love, protect, and cherish her. The room erupted with cheers, and Dominique, smiling and emotional, said yes. It was supposed to be the beginning of forever, but just beneath the surface of that public fairy tale, something far more unsettling had already begun to take root. At approximately 11:50 p.m. on Friday, January 3rd, in 2020, Dominique and Kendrick got into an argument. While the cause of it is unknown, what is known is that Dominique had called off the engagement. She didn't want to be with Kendrick anymore. She had decided to leave the apartment when her vehicle refused to start. So she attempted to jumpstart it, but her car still would not start.
You know what I'm saying?
Like it's gone. That hoe just came off like all of a sudden. Like I don't understand it.
So she asked Kendrick for help, and instead of assisting her, Kendrick reportedly yelled for her not to touch his car. Within a second, another round of argument ensued. Witnesses later said Dominique was trying to connect the jumper cables while Kendrick grew increasingly agitated. At some point during the dispute, Kendrick snatched Dominique's phone and hurled it at the pavement, smashing it. Right at that moment, things escalated. Moments later, Kendrick disappeared into the apartment. When he returned, he wasn't holding flowers or an apology. He was holding a firearm. Without warning, he raised it and aimed directly at Dominique. But even with a gun pointed at her, Dominique did not flinch. She stared down the barrel held by the man she had agreed to marry and remained remarkably composed. She didn't run. She didn't scream. She believed he was bluffing, just trying to scare her, not actually pull the trigger. And so, in a voice steady and defiant, she urged him to go ahead and shoot her. What should have been a simple argument turned into something tragic. Kendrick raised the gun and fired a single shot. The bullet hit Dominique squarely in the chest. In an instant, she fell to the ground in the parking lot. Panicked screams filled the air as bystanders rushed to help, but it was too late. And Kendrick wasn't done. When two bystanders began talking about calling for help, Kendrick reportedly fired at them too. One of the witnesses dove into the bushes to avoid being hit. Then, Kendrick did what only cowards would do. He calmly approached Dominique's lifeless body, knelt down, and took her phone from beside her. Without a word or a backward glance, he turned and fled the scene. Meanwhile, witnesses who saw what happened had called the police. Around midnight, Houston police arrived at the 5500 block of Hollyview Drive. Officers arrived to find Dominique already deceased in the parking lot. Witnesses described Kendrick fleeing the scene with Dominique's phone.
And they say that he popped the question on New Year's Eve on Facebook Live just days ago, and now he's accused of killing his fiance. Police tell us that around midnight, witnesses saw a fight in the parking lot of the Hollyview Apartments where the female victim lived, and the male suspect ended up shooting the woman and taking off. But before he left, police say he shot at witnesses who were trying to intervene.
He remained on the run for several hours until Saturday afternoon, when he arrived voluntarily at the Houston Police Department patrol station for questioning. He was promptly arrested. But just when it seemed the tragedy was over, a hidden history would change everything. Upon arrest, Kendrick Akins was charged with murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Prosecutors moved quickly. The case now had two eyewitnesses, a clear timeline, and a suspect who had not only shot Dominique but also fired at others as well. But what investigators discovered next would change everything. Kendrick had a criminal record, but not just any record, a documented history of violence. He was already on parole from a prior conviction. His rap sheet included an assault on a family member in 2008, a charge eerily similar to the nature of Dominique's death. In 2015, He was also convicted of being a felon in possession of a weapon and of possessing methamphetamine. In both local and out-of-state jurisdictions, Kendrick had demonstrated a pattern of criminal behavior. At his arraignment, Kendrick Akins was formally charged with 2 serious felonies, murder, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The judge initially set his bond at $150,000, but that would not be the final word. Within days, prosecutors returned to court requesting that the bond be raised due to Kendrick's criminal past, one that extended far beyond what Dominique's family had ever known. The state argued that releasing him posed a danger not only to the general public, but also to witnesses involved in the case. The judge agreed. The bond was raised, bringing the total to $500,000.
Kendrick Akins just appeared in court less than an hour ago. It was there that a judge decided to accept the state's request to increase that suspect's bond. Take a look at him walking into court this morning wearing orange and handcuffs. He was charged with murder and aggravated assault over the weekend, but it was this morning that his bond for the murder charge was raised from $150,000 to $250,000. Prosecutors had asked for the state to increase the prosecutors had asked for the judge to increase the bond, stating that the 2-time felon was a danger to the community. The judge also set those bond conditions today. Akins is not allowed to leave Harris County, use a weapon, or have contact with witnesses or the victim's family. He is accused of shooting and his fiance, 33-year-old Dominique Jefferson, last Friday over an argument that they had in the apartment complex that they both lived. We know that Akins had asked Jefferson to marry him just 3 days prior, according to her family. We are also told that prosecutors hope that this case will help someone else who is in a domestic relationship that could turn violent.
Dominique's murder wasn't just a domestic dispute. It was the culmination of an ignored pattern, one that too many women find themselves trapped in. Friends and family said they never saw any signs of abuse. There were no documented domestic violence calls during their relationship, but what made the pain even harder to bear was the growing realization that this wasn't just a tragedy. It was a failure that could have been prevented.
And I thought she had found the man of her dreams. And it turned out it wasn't the man of her dreams. It was a nightmare of her life.
He promised me he was going to take care of my daughter. He was going to cherish my daughter. He was going to love her. He was going to be there for her, and he lied. He lied. He my daughter. He don't deserve a bond. He don't deserve anything.
And now Dominique's mother and children were left to pick up the pieces. The truth, however, was even more horrifying than anyone imagined. Kendrick's defense attorney made a surprising move. They filed a request for protective custody. According to the motion, Kendrick feared for his safety inside the Harris County Jail. His legal team claimed that Dominique's brothers, both of whom were incarcerated in the same facility, had issued threats on social media and through jailhouse word of mouth. As Kendrick awaited trial, the Jefferson family began organizing efforts around victim advocacy. They partnered with local nonprofits, including those that provide resources to women in abusive relationships.
The family hoping that her death can be a message for others who may be in a violent and harmful relationship.
My sister's not going to die in vain. If it ain't right, if it don't feel right, it ain't right.
Dominique's name started appearing in conversations about legislative reform and in domestic violence awareness campaigns throughout Texas. But just when it seemed like the case couldn't get any worse, something darker would surface. A closer review of court records revealed that Kendrick's 2008 aggravated assault conviction wasn't his only brush with violent behavior toward women. Though some cases were dismissed or not prosecuted, public records showed allegations of domestic disputes, restraining orders, and threats involving past partners. One former girlfriend, unrelated to the Jefferson family, contacted local media to express her horror, expressing that she felt chills after seeing the proposal online, knowing what Kendrick was capable of. She never filed charges, fearing retaliation. That fear is what Dominique's family now hopes to erase from other women's futures. But as he sat behind bars, jail staff started to see flashes of the same rage. After being booked into Harris County Jail, Kendrick reportedly exhibited volatile behavior. Jail staff documented multiple outbursts, including confrontations with guards and other inmates. He was eventually transferred to a more secure wing pending his pre-trial hearings. and his courtroom demeanor revealed a disturbing calm. He reportedly refused to speak to police following his arrest, offering no explanation, apology, or statement. A psychological evaluation ordered by the court revealed signs of potential antisocial personality traits, complicating discussions about whether he might plead insanity or diminished capacity. But legal experts observing the case suggest the defense may pursue any path that reduces Kendrick's sentencing exposure, from challenging witness testimony to attempting a lesser charge than capital murder. While Kendrick's legal strategy evolved, Dominique's family grieved. On January 5, 2020, just 2 days after Dominique's death, the Jefferson family organized a vigil in her honor, held at the very apartment complex where her life was taken. The gathering served as both a memorial and a powerful act of protest. Family, friends, neighbors, and community advocates came together in the cold Houston air to honor Dominique's life and speak out against domestic violence. Balloons floated upward as tears fell. Her 3 children stood silently beside her mother and siblings, absorbing the gravity of a world that had just shifted beneath them.
Tonight, Dominique's mother, alongside other friends and family, came together to remember her, honor her memory, and demand justice.
In the months that followed Dominique's death, the courtroom proceedings unfolded slowly. The district attorney's office assured the family that they would seek the maximum penalty available under Texas law. With Kendrick's violent history, prosecutors were confident in their case, but Dominique's family knew that the justice system didn't always deliver what was promised. And so, outside of the courtroom, they launched something bigger, a campaign. They partnered with Houston-based advocacy organizations and began to speak publicly about the danger of hidden abuse.
He appeared to be normal, but that is not normal at all. He's a monster.
They spoke at schools, shelters, and churches. They shared Dominique's story not just to mourn her, but to protect others. As the trial drew nearer, new witnesses came forward to support the prosecution. More details about Kendrick's prior relationships, his erratic behavior, and his access to firearms began to surface. A former landlord of Kendrick's testified in a pre-trial hearing that he had once heard shouting matches from Kendrick's apartment and that a neighbor had called police to report suspected abuse years earlier. But there was more. Prosecutors discovered additional digital evidence on Kendrick's phone, recovered at the time of his arrest. Text messages, voice memos, and even deleted images pointed to increasing volatility in his relationship with Dominique. Though she had never filed a report, the data revealed a pattern of control, anger, and intimidation. The prosecution argued these digital traces helped establish motive and intent. Kendrick's defense, meanwhile, began preparing a case around temporary emotional disturbance, trying to frame the shooting as unplanned and reactive. But no argument, emotional or legal, could stop what was coming next. On Wednesday, November 9, 2022, 42-year-old Kendrick Akins received a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. When the initial verdict was read, Akins collapsed in court, prompting a brief delay in sentencing. The district attorney described Akins as a repeat abuser whose violence tragically escalated. In the wake of Dominique's death, her loved ones were determined that her story would not be reduced to a headline. Her mother started hosting weekly support groups for survivors of domestic abuse, turning pain into a platform for healing. Her sister became a fierce advocate, speaking at rallies, organizing awareness campaigns, and working with local organizations to push for systemic change.
My sister was in love with him enough to agree to marry him. But what happened? He loved my sister to death. That ain't love.
At the heart of their efforts were Dominique's 3 children. With their mother gone, they were now being raised by their grandmother. To support their ongoing needs, from school expenses to mental health care, the family established a small fund. A GoFundMe was created to help with the financial burden, and the response was overwhelming. Donations poured in from across the country, many from strangers moved by Dominique's story. Community members stepped in with tangible acts of support, offering school supplies, clothing, meals, and even free counseling services for the children. Dominique's family refused to let her memory fade in silence. Her legacy lives on not just in the children she left behind, but in every hand that reached out to help them forward. Viewers, this story isn't just a tragedy. It's a reminder, a lesson, a plea. Dominique Jefferson deserved more. Her kids deserved more. And with your help, we can make sure no other family has to live this nightmare. What do you think about it? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.